This conference will now be recorded.
All right, it is now 6 p.m. on Tuesday, April 16th, 2024, and I call this regular meeting of council to order here at the East Beaches Social Scene in Victoria Beach. I respectfully acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Anasininoo Nations, Dakota, Assiniboine, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous and Métis communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Thank you to the East Beaches Social Scene crew for setup, coffee, water, and takedown at our meetings here. Introductions around the table. I will start on my far right.
Hello, I'm Councillor Graham Randall.
Good evening, Erwin Cup is my name, Councillor.
Penny McMorris, Mayor.
Lon Turner, CAO.
Steve Axelny.
And Councillor Chadsey is in transit tonight, so he will not be attending our meeting. So thank you very much. All right, so we'll move on to our agenda. Be it resolved, the agenda be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Second, Steve, thank you. Any additions, gentlemen?
Not for me.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. The minutes of the April 2nd, 2024 regular council meeting were circulated to all members of council. Be it resolved, the minutes of the April 2nd, 2024 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second, Steve, thank you. Any comments, gentlemen?
Appear to be in order. I've read them, they appear to be complete.
I agree. Steve? Yep. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Moving on to committee reports. I will start things off with the Public Works update as of April 16th. As of May 1st, the garbage and recycling depot will be open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That also applies to the Arm of Alexander's and the Arm of Victoria Beach's joint garbage and recycling depot, or Traverse Bay landfill. Number 2, steaming of culverts is ongoing. With the freeze and thaw we've had this year, many culverts are still frozen. Water is backing up into the ditches and onto some property and roads. Public Works is working hard to thaw them out. Number 3, grading of roads has begun. Number 4, work is ongoing in preparing the new area for collecting and chipping brush. This area is just west of the garbage and recycling depot. It's an open area. We ask that brush be taken to this new site and not dumped by the fire hall. We'd like to keep that area cleaned up, as that is where we hope to build our new fire hall in the not too distant future. Number 5, spring brush pickup. Please pile brush at the end of your driveway and Public Works staff will pick it up. In the vehicle restricted area, you can start putting brush outside on the roadside on the May long weekend up until June 16th. Outside the vehicle restricted area, you can start putting brush out on the May long weekend up until June 22nd. Regular maintenance, cleaning of reservoirs, and other startup procedures have begun at the VB water treatment plant. Number 7, as always, Public Works is continuing to follow up on reports of dead and dangerous trees for removal on RM property. Number 8, water samples from the well at the fire hall and the Albert Beach pump house are tested monthly throughout the winter. Number 9, fire pit permit applications are available online on the Arm of Victoria Beach website or in the white mailbox number 1 at the VB Fire Hall. Any questions, comment? All right, thank you. I'll move on to finance. Lon, I understand you're going to give us that report, Jay?
Yeah, Ian's away, so I'll go over it a little bit. On the balance sheet, just looking at the cash position, we're at 783,000 in the bank compared to last year at 429, so we're a little healthier that way. Same time last year. Taxes on roll, last year, this is accounts receivable over 173,000, now they're at 99, so that was large part due to the tax sale that we went through in October last year. So overall, our asset balance is $815,000 higher than it was last year. And just a lot of some of that's from the cash and the other one is from the assets that investments you're making in assets, buildings and equipment and stuff. So liabilities, we do have one line item that's in there that's new this year is tax sale excess funds. So that's money that we've collected from the tax sale that is still due to the previous owners of the property. It's about $154,000. That's kind of it for the highlights from the balance sheet. The budget control actuals to budget to date. The interim operating budget is in. It'll be finalized hopefully May 7th when we have the public hearing and do second and third readings. I don't think too much will change there. So everything's kind of just tickety-boo compared to last year as far as everything, expenses so far. That's it for me.
All right, thank you. Any questions, gentlemen? Not at this point. All right, I will move on then to fire. Steve, do you have a fire report for us?
Yep.
Thank you.
There were a total of 5 calls attended by the Victoria Beach Fire Department in December. 1 call was in the RM of Victoria Beach. The other 4 were in the RM of Alexander.
December, Steve? Sorry.
Yes, December.
Don't we have a March report?
Oh, shoot. I
Here.
grabbed the wrong one.
That's it, right?
Sorry. Thank you very much.
Sorry. Thank you.
I apologize. There were a total of 2 calls in March. Long day. There were a total of two calls in March. 1 call in each RM, both fire calls. The fire call in the RM of Victoria Beach was for a vehicle that was on fire near structures. The fire department was able to contain the vehicle fire to the vehicle, and no other property or structures were damaged. The vehicle was a total loss. The second fire call was in the RM of Alexander. This call was to a structure. The fire department was able to contain it in the single structure and put it out without any damage to any other properties or structures. This fire caused a total loss of the structure involved, but no injuries happened. The fire department continues to train and maintain all equipment and gear. They are working to prepare their personnel for the busy summer season. The fire department has also been training to make sure their personnel are prepared and aware of how to safely attend and deal with all battery-powered equipment or vehicle fires that may be called for. While in the process of researching how to safely deal with lithium-ion battery fires, Brad has found that the National Fire Protection Association has a large amount of great information and has attached a copy of some of this information for that will be available for the Cottage Guide this summer. In short, if you go to the website nfpa.org/lithium-ion safety, you can view this information. I'd also note that every vehicle on the road is driving on top of a completely full combustion vehicle, meaning a flammable material underneath of your seat. So just to put some things in perspective, some people might call that, oh, I don't know, a bomb. So yeah, just things in some version of perspective, and also that if you take a look as to how many fires there have been with lithium-ion batteries in cars, it's negligible compared to the amount of fires that have been caused by gasoline and diesel powered vehicles. This year is also a serious drought year, despite the weather outside right now, although it's not coming down all that hard. So we are asking, and I think almost at this point begging for you to please remove all of the underbrush from your property. Everything you need to view as being fuel. Please remove all debris and wood boards and firewood and leaves from under your cabin. There ultimately should be nothing underneath of your cabin, because that's one of the easiest ways for your building to burn down. And also, please, again, remove all of your conifers on your property. Conifers are evergreens, for those who might not know. And please replace them with drought-resistant deciduous trees.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I think part of the comment on the lithium batteries is once a vehicle with a lithium battery catches on fire, it can burn for hours and hours and hours. And what they try to do is contain the vehicle and get rid of everything around it, because it just smolders. workers.
They just let them burn.
They let them burn pretty much, yeah. But you're right, every vehicle can go on fire. All right, thank you, Steve. Police, Erwin, do you have a report?
Yes, regretfully, Constable Ani Rexheimer sustained an injury, and the police report that you would normally receive from me was not available, but I was able to get some details. In the month of March, relatively quiet month, there were 2 assists requested by the RCMP. There were 2 investigations involving dogs. There was 1 parking bylaw infraction. There was 1 fire, which Steve mentioned. There were 9 events involving traffic enforcement with our laser. And once again, no break and enters, which is, I think, a very positive reflection on the quality of police services that we are enjoying. In 2024, there was a total of 100 events recorded, and that compares with 80 in 2023. Again, this is not 80 crimes, it's been investigations, different activities that the police monitor. So another positive report.
All right, thank you very much. I do not have a report for special events. So I will move on to the golf course. Steve, do you have a report or?
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
We had a meeting yesterday with the Greens groundskeepers, our new superintendent, Adam Wallace, and our new clubhouse manager, Elaine Hodovic, and we just went over a lot of the details, a lot of operating procedures, and it looks pretty good to me. I feel pretty good. Everybody had most of the questions answered, and there's some equipment stuff that needs to be dealt with right away, and they were out working all day yesterday, looking at stuff and getting Adam's feet wet to help out. Seems like everybody's on the same page to get the course up and running and in good spirits this summer. So that's about it, really.
Okay, and none of the fees are changing this year. The Greens fees are remaining the same. It's my understanding. We haven't changed them in
Not unless council wants to do it. They haven't changed from last
no,
year.
they have not changed from last year. We thought we'd leave it this year.
So is the new golf course superintendent, is he now hired full-time?
Yes.
Good.
We're not putting too much pressure on him. So, but
Well,
he's going to learn a lot from the guys that are there. They've been doing it.
well, he's got awfully big shoes to fill, but the other members, other employees of the course were there with us, and we dealt with them, and they've shown an inclination to be supportive of the new manager, and he's got a lot to learn, but it looks like they're going to support each other just fine.
That's great. I'm not surprised.
Is Carl helping out a little bit?
No.
Just in the background, if Juan has to ask him something specific.
Yeah, no, not right now. He's not. He's got some things he's tending to right now.
He does. Okay, thank you very much. Do you need any employees for the golf course? Do they need any seasonal help?
Not that I know of. It depends on how the workload progresses. They may hire somebody else just to labor in July and August. But that remains to be seen, just because Carl's position has kind of been split into 2. So now Adam can do more groundskeeping work as when Carl had kind of do both. So we'll just see how that works out.
Okay, great. Thank you. Moving on to municipal buildings. Graham?
Okay, that's me. I've itemized various categories. The water turn on, the May long weekend water turn on. We've arranged with a plumbing contractor to check and handle the turn on procedures at various municipal buildings requiring service. So that's under control. They wanted to get at it early, and I agreed. Number 2, the Moonlight Inn. We've received a last minute update to the Moonlight Inn that I'll speak to in a few moments. The new fire hall and repurposing the existing fire hall, revised preliminary drawings were received, and they're being sent over to our architect, Unit 7. And a Zoom meeting will be scheduled soon to consider additional suggestions, principally from Kevin and Brad. We want their input. we've heard from Brad, but we're looking forward to hearing from Kevin as
So
well.
that's our fire chief and our
That's
police
right.
chief.
Exactly. Village Green accessible washroom is progressing nicely with the general contractor, the framer, the electrician, the plumber, all coordinating effectively. I somehow got them all together. The golf course meeting that Lon spoke to from a nuts and bolts, hammer and nails municipal buildings perspective, the score is I'm arranging to replace the top railing of the front deck. The entire surface of the front deck needs to be repainted or refinished. I've arranged for repairs to several light fixtures and staining of the benches throughout the course. We're looking around for somebody who would be interested in that. They can be done in bits and pieces over months, years, whatever. But that would be a separate deal. We've got one or two people in mind who might be interested in that. They could do it at their own pace. And plumbing repairs to the leaking lines, and of course the water turn-on procedures. Mitch attended our meeting and he's on that. So the physical requirements of the golf course and clubhouse are being attended to as we speak. On the information office, I've learned that the replacement windows have finally arrived. We had to go to several suppliers, or Eagle Rock did, and he's picking them up this week and he'll get them in before Mayland weekend, he promises.
Great.
As far as the Moonlight Inn, we do have, I won't speak to it right now because we've got an update that addresses it very thoroughly, and Lon's going to put it on our website for us. I'm referring to project update number 6.
Yep.
Excellent recap of what's going on. For those who care to look at our website, they can read it, and it's been distributed to all members of council. Long story short, progress is going just fine. Thank you very much.
Good.
There's some question about the reusing the existing holding tanks, and we'll be resolving that in the near future. But the cooperation between our architect and the contractor Drew and the various trades has just been excellent. Everything's going nicely.
Thank you.
Just a comment, just to be clear, the Moonlight Inn will not open for business this summer, but arrangements have been made to secure a food trailer, which will be parked somewhere near the existing site, and it will be distributing ice cream and hamburgers as best they can, so.
That's right. It's pretty much a restaurant on wheels. It's quite long. I think it's close to 60 feet. So that will be located there so that the inn can continue to provide food and other and ice cream and various items while construction continues.
I'm afraid my granddaughters wouldn't come to the beach if the Moonlight Inn wasn't available.
It'll be available, and Aaron, of course, will be working out of the kitchen trailer, whatever it's called. We've actually bought it, and we'll decide on its disposal after we're done with it at the end of this year. It wasn't cheap; it was $70,000.
Maybe not disposable.
Yeah, it's not disposable, but it could be reusable or reseller.
That's right. Okay, so that's my municipal buildings ramble. Thank you very much.
I have a question on the benches at the golf course.
Yeah.
Are you referring to the memorial benches essentially?
Some of them are memorial, some of them have plaques, some of them don't. So they have to be treated with care and respectfully, but pretty well every one of them, the original finish, which is actually a dark red, I learned, is worn off. They're overdue to be refinished, but we want to choose a sympathetic painter who will treat them with care.
Well, we have one for my in-laws up there on the 5th hole, and it was brought to our attention that it was in rough shape a few years ago, so we went, Ivan, my husband went and took all the boards off and refinished it and put all the boards back.
Yeah.
I don't think we can rely on residents who put the benches there to do that.
No,
Many of them have left DB for a variety of reasons. Maybe they've passed away, the families have forgotten about them. So.
well, I'm pretty sure that out of, I was told that there's 25 or 30 benches all over the
And
course.
we don't need any more.
No, we don't need any more, but some of them are probably gonna, the lumber may have deteriorated. So that has to be addressed. And then over the course of the spring or the summer, or maybe on into next year, we gradually refinish them all so that they look right. Quite frankly, it was suggested to me that Raymond Parisian, who's associated with the community center, might be interested in that work. I'm waiting to hear back from him.
It might be something for a summer student, one of these, get a summer student and hire them to, that's their job. But not this year.
Yeah, well, we'll offer it to local workers first, I would think,
Yeah.
to
Okay,
keep it within the family.
great, thank you. Sorry, Erwin.
Go
All right, thank you very much, Graham. Doctor's Cottage and Committee, Steve.
I'll do the doctors committee in a second. I checked on this, just to show, going back to the police. In 2017, there were 43 break-ins. So I guess that would be the year that us four got up to council, or was it?
2018.
2018, okay. So that's actually even better. So in 2017, there were 43 break-ins. The year that we got in, that us four got here, there were 26 break-ins. And now in 2023, there were 4 break-ins for the entire year. And now we're on par to have 0. So the police board is continuously getting better. So yeah, I figured I'd let everybody know that, because
Thank
we've
you.
been able to make a difference. So for the doctor's office, we were full on doctors, but there was one cancellation which should be filled fairly shortly. We will be taking a full inventory of assets in the doctor's cabin and looking to define the life expectancy of all the assets, so beds and stoves and all that, so that way we can have a proper life cycle management. We'll also be carrying the epinephrine this year, as there have been instances where it has been needed in the past, but we've not had it on hand. The best spot on the lot will be started back up this summer. We'll also need people to help with the spring cleanup. So if you know anybody, or if you are somebody who wants to help with that, then please get in touch with myself or the committee. We'll also be taking full inventory of the drugs, as well as taking a look at the expiration dates on them, so that we can properly track as to how many of which product that we're getting that is expiring by the end of the summer. We'll also be producing magnetic business cards with the times for the doctor's cabin, because there are a lot of people who right now don't know what the times are that it's available. So the plan is to put these into the ad bags. So again, that residents can be aware as to what time doctors are available. And we have a lot more nurse practitioners who want to come aboard this year. While there had been discussion of expanding the season, this will be requesting that happens next year. So it's a little, like, in the last meeting, we discussed it, we had seen whether or not it's possible. It is possible, it's just something that we'll have to plan for next year, so that way we can just have everything planned in advance. But the idea would be to have at least 2 more weeks on the tail end of the summer.
On the end of August end.
Yeah, exactly. It's more protection for the community, especially for elderly residents. I mean, they really benefit from having, medical attention that close.
But not this year, not for 2020.
Not this year, for next year, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
There's a question, Steve. It relates to the nurse practitioners. It's my understanding that a nurse practitioner cannot bill the province for services provided. So I'm wondering how you're going to get around that problem. How are the nurse practitioners going to get paid?
It's voluntary. So they would still be there for the hours, but then they would be able to enjoy the amenities, or I guess lack thereof, that we have, but they'll be able to enjoy the community as necessary.
We have lots of amenities. What do you mean lack thereof?
I was trying not to promote ourselves as
Oh.
Grand Beach.
Free rent,
Grand Beach has the amenities.
free rent at the beach. It's a wonderful amenity.
That's a serious commitment. I'm pleased to hear that. Well done.
And there were quite a few who, despite that, still wanted to be a part of the doctor's cabin. So,
That's great.
yeah, as I said, we were overloaded with people who wanted to be a part of it. It's just, and that's what really brought up the discussion of expansion, which is like, oh, well, if we can't do this, then maybe we should. And then it just became a little bit too much, on short notice. But next year, that's the plan, is to possibly expand it for 2 more weeks.
That's great.
Steve, is there one or two new members of the doctor's committee?
As far as I know, everybody's new, so.
Everybody?
Yeah.
All right, well, they're to be complimented on being on the ball. I believe you've been advised that arrangements have been made for the water turn on. There was some confusion last year. And while he's there, he needs to check that reportedly leaky outdoor tap. Are you aware of that?
I wasn't, but yeah,
Would you
Yep, for
keep
sure,
it in mind, please?
for sure.
Minor item, but it'd be a pain in the ass if it's left unattended.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Communications? Steve, me? I just direct people to our website for the time, for now. I mean, there's lots of information on there. If you have any questions, please contact a council member, contact the RM office. We're happy to help. Summer info office. Are we still looking for some staff for the info office, Lon?
3 out of 4 have come back for sure.
Okay.
I think the 4th one is coming back. I have to talk to Caitlin.
Okay.
Who she spoke to. But I think it's pretty good. The building is getting renovated. Should be up to speed for the access period there when it's shut down. And then staff is good. Caitlin's coming back. We're going to hire her in the office a little bit beforehand too.
I think that's awesome. I was gonna suggest that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, we were going to lose her if we didn't. So we need her in there. So.
That'd be great. Okay, thank you very much. Building inspector, back to you, Graham.
Okay. A report from our building inspector, Curtis Beaudoin, for the month of March, of course. One main building, 2 decks, 1 shed, and 1 bunkhouse. The value of permits, $303,000. Year to date, we're up to $500,000 in permits. Getting there. Permit fees collected so far, $2,750. And year to date, permit fees collected, $7,600. So it's coming along roughly comparable to last year, which is down a bit from that peak year 2 years ago. But there seems to be lots of construction going on, so I don't see this slacking off, and neither does Curtis.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll move on to accessibility. I have no update on the accessibility issues of the committee at this time. So I will move on to trails. Steve?
You can try to go cross-country skiing. You're going to destroy your cross-country skis.
I think it's done.
Yeah, so there was one thing which Lon was going to follow up on, which was the trails grant. Were we able to apply for that? Because there are some questions over that one.
We applied for the Manitoba Trails Grant. That was the one, the big one that we got.
Yeah.
That was the one that was extended, the deadline from early January to end of January.
Yeah.
And that's the big grant that we got.
That's that 15,000.
10 or 15, yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
There was another one that's annual, which is a Trans-Canada Trails. That's direct to Trans-Canada Trails. And that's a $1,500 annual grant. And I just didn't bother applying this year for that one.
Okay.
But it's an annual one that we can apply for every year if we want.
Yeah. Okay.
There was another one that I applied for back in November and I haven't heard back. That was through Western Financial. And I haven't heard back from them.
Okay. Aside from that, there's really nothing. So, yeah.
And just the grant that we got for the AB to BB Trail, working with Public Works, end of May, early June, would be more than feasible to get going on that, to start working on that project. hopefully we can get it done before the end of June, before July starts up, but we'll just see how everything works.
Well, Public Works is full on with all the water systems until after well after May long weekend, and the ATVs are allowed to use that AB to BB trail. So when they're done, when their time is done, then we can start working on the AB to BB trail.
Has any thought been given to how to solve the problem with the accumulation of sand at the bottom of the trail there? It's about a 50-foot section that becomes impassable.
That's what we're working on with this.
Why don't you put some Moby mats in? Would work.
It might work,
Well,
I'm not-
ABS is cheaper,
yeah.
but not much.
Well, the problem is this
The
water
sand,
and the wind blows in, a foot of sand in two spots and.
Well, what about good old snow fencing? It was used for years to prevent sand accumulation where it wasn't wanted.
I believe Public Works did something at the end of the year last year where it's just been neglected for years. I don't know if anything's ever been done to it. But they reclaimed a lot of the rocks or something that had been moved from the high water, and they kind of reinforced the edge of it.
Oh.
And then they're gonna scoop that sand out that's there now and
Practice
fill it
with
full of
their-
A base and build it up a little bit. Hopefully that'll keep it at base.
Practice with their new skid steer.
it is going to blow in. It's like the trail over to Lost Lagoon, or from Lost Lagoon over to Sandy Bay
Yeah.
Beach. It is going to fill in,
Yeah.
but we'll try and stay more on top of it.
It's
once we
mainly wind
repair.
driven, it's not water driven.
Mhm.
It's at the bottom.
And people.
Yeah, needs to be a tunnel, but it would have to be a 14-foot culvert.
Now you're talking about Lost Lagoon.
That's
Okay.
right, it would really be lost.
Sounds like a practical solution, Greg.
Yeah, right, I'll get right on it.
I know that JP was asking
Yeah.
TCT, like, if they had any experience trying to mitigate this problem, and they sort of got back, it's like, yeah, well, you just maintain it. It's
Yeah.
really kind of all you can do.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any suggestions that were anything that's long-term, so.
I think we just need to keep it on the to-do list.
Just shovel it off once
Yeah,
or
if you
twice.
graded it 2 or 3 times in the summer, it would solve the problem.
All right, thank you. And the Moonlight Inn, Graham, brief update, because it will be on our website.
Yeah, well, I've already spoken rather obliquely to the update on the Moonlight Inn. It's on our website, you all have a copy, and the bottom line is things are going just fine.
Okay, thank you very much. Hearing no further committee reports, be it resolved to approve the monthly committee reports as presented. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second, Steve, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. I'll move on to accounts and finances. Be it resolved, the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Checks numbered 12150 to 12182 in the amount of $44,483.90. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second, Graham, thank you. Any discussion on this? Lon, do you have?
Not really. It's 32 checks for $44,483, and it's really just basic operating stuff, fuel, LMTS, hydro. There was just one check that we wrote for the VG accessible washrooms. That's for $10,500, but that's a prepayment for, I think, to finish up that project.
Well, it was, I believe it was a progress invoice.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Great. Any concerns on the financials, gentlemen?
Just a comment on purchase of gasoline. I was very pleased to see that there's a clear delineation between Public Works and police gas purchases.
Good point.
All right. Thank you. All right, anything further, gentlemen? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Moving on to business arising from the previous meeting, and it says as needed. I'd just like to talk about a couple of things, and I know Erwin wants to talk about one, so the Scott Point Fire Smart Project. I just wanted to provide residents and council with an update. I read the update report at our April 2nd council meeting, and the Fire Smart project is scheduled to be started next week. Apparently there's some issue with Jets playoffs or something. I'm not sure if that's going to factor into this, but it is supposed to start next week though, so there will be some forestry personnel and some arborists in that area and taking down trees and removing deadfall and clearing out. So the Fire Smart update that I did read on April 2nd is on our website. It's under the Residents tab and then under Fire Smart. Sort of along those lines was a reforestation project that Mr. Taylor brought to our attention at the March 19th council meeting. And to date, no plan has been received from Mr. Taylor for review or discussion by council. I know he's working with Councillor Axworthy on this. So we do support replanting in some areas. There was a lot of support from council around the table, but we need a plan to be submitted, to discuss, to review, and be approved for implementation. And perhaps there are some grants we can apply for going forward. Okay, all right. And Erwin, you wanted to talk about the Shoreline Advisory Committee.
Just to really reiterate, we are looking for a few more volunteers. We've had a number of people come forward, and that's excellent. We would like, if you are interested in applying for a spot, we would like you to submit an email to me by April 30th. My email address is ikaumka@victoriabeach.ca. And that email address is also on our website. Following receipt of emails of interest, we'll be sitting down and going through a selection process. There will be more details on that provided to the interested parties. I think it's really encouraging to see the volunteer support that's coming forward for this very important committee, and we're excited to get it reformatted and functioning.
Thanks very much. All right, moving on to new business. 7A, we have a request for quote for a gravel tender. I would suggest we table this decision, this resolution, until testing can be done on the different bidders' product. I spoke with Public Works today, and they would like to get sample tests, or samples, get them tested in the city, and then they would like to make their decision based on that. We have had an incident in the past where the gravel was not what we expected, and we need good gravel. Makes a difference on our roads, so.
Just to comment on that, I mean, I totally agree that we do need to have testing, but not just at the beginning of the quotation process, but it should be done on an ongoing basis. You start taking gravel out of one side of your gravel pit and it's fine, and then you move over to another side and it's not so good. I mean, is there not some kind of ongoing testing protocol in place to make sure that there's a continuity and consistency of the product?
Well, this is A-base, Erwin, so it's not dug raw out of the pit. It's processed.
It's crushed and then mixed with clay.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it does make sense to do periodic testing rather than just the one time at the front end.
Well, I did talk to Public Works about it, and they said, let's get it tested, and then hopefully, they'll deal with whether it needs to be done periodically or not.
Exactly, yeah.
So I would just like, are you all right if we table this quote until that happens?
I agree with that.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 7B, supply and install power from the yacht club to the soccer field. We have a resolution. Be it resolved to approve the quotation from RSL Electrical Contracting Limited for $5,875 plus taxes to supply and install power from the yacht club to the soccer field. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Second, Steve, thank you. Graham, would you like to speak to this, please?
Yes, we've got a fair amount of time before this work commences. We think it's a very good idea, and it'll serve a number of our community-based organizations. We're just in the process of working out some of the details as far as location. I'll be discussing the situation with the contractor, Cole Prusak, and with Heather as soon as they get back to me. So not to delay, but just to clarify, I think we should table this till the dust settles on exactly where the outlet's going to go. And we'll bring it up and hopefully pass it at the next meeting.
All right.
It's a good idea.
Okay. All right. Another resolution table, please. Okay. Moving on to EV charging stations in the BB parking lot. Discussion. Steve, I will hand this over to you to start us off. Thank you.
So the reality of the situation that Victoria Beach faces right now is that we have been accustomed, as everybody has, to gasoline and diesel powered vehicles, meaning that there has been no personal responsibility to use your property as means of refilling or regenerating your car. The actual future, and I think that this is somewhat similar to, I suppose, the bringing in of water and electricity to the municipality, is that we need to start thinking into the future. And that future is in 2035, regardless as to all the naysayers, whatever they want to say, EVs are here to stay. They're here to take over. And the reality of them is that people charge now at their homes. They don't charge, as if they can help it, at the charging station that is paid at a commercial business. They charge at home. My greatest concern is that we have over 1,200 vehicles that descend on this municipality every summer, and Safeys is not going to purchase 6 or 7 level 3 chargers. Each one of them costs $100,000. So that's not reasonable to expect. We are certainly not going to invest in that many level 3 chargers if we're going to invest in a level 3 charger in and of itself. There are not, EVs are not one size fits all. It's not, they're not all 6, 7, 800 kilometer ranges. They vary depending on as to what the customer wants. So some will get 100 kilometers, others will get 600 kilometers, and that ultimately determines as to how much you're going to pay as an individual. So we need to look at the future, what it means, and there will be some people who want to purchase or can only afford a cheaper vehicle, might only have, say, 100, 200 kilometers on their vehicle to be able to get to the municipality. That means that they can't get back. So given that most residents would be charging up at home, at their cabins, and that very soon, obviously, second and third generation cars, which are being resold, will still be available, but new cars are going to be EVs. That the municipality has a responsibility to realize that we have 1,200 residents in the BRA, or cabins in the BRA?
800, I believe.
Yeah, this is 800. Okay, so 800
Properties.
Properties. Thank you. So 800 properties in the VRA. For 2 months of the year, you will not be able to access your one and only means of charging your vehicle. So we need to look at this from, I honestly think, a charter position in terms of mobility, because you cannot prevent somebody from moving within a province. You cannot prevent somebody from moving in and out of the country. This is just simply in the charter. And I really do feel that there is a charter challenge that could threaten the VRA in the future. Beyond that, I think the reasonable thing to do is to just simply say that since we're removing your ability to charge at home, then we should invest in electrifying the parking lot. We've already started with the 2 level 2s that are there, but invest in a lot of level 1s, basically just a standard outlet, which has a 4 amp output, thank you, a 4-amp output. So people can come up for the 2 days that most people come up here for, plug in, by the time they need to leave, they're good to go. So we are providing the service of which they will have at their home. So we're not removing their right to charge, we're just simply giving them another option. It's also something that the federal government is pushing for, it's something that the province is pushing for, it's something that has to happen to be able to make this green change. And to say that, well, we're not going to do it, therefore, you can choose to either get an EV or keep your gasoline powered vehicle, which is killing the planet. You knew that when you purchased the cabin, it's just simply unreasonable, especially for those who this has been their home for their entire lives, or the cabin has been in their family for their entire life. It's not reasonable to say that, well, you can't access the place at which you charge. So I want to do this proactively. I've sent a proposal to council in terms of what we'd be looking at for this year. It would be a slow process that we would electrify one row at a time, year over year. I sent a quote to council. So at first, the first phase of this being for this year would be a cost of just about $47,000. This would give us a platform that we could expand to multiple rows moving forward, and each year after that would be on the neighborhood of about $24,000 for next year, and obviously it's going to go up with inflation. But that would allow us a slow, methodical, progressive look at the future and be able to address this this situation which is going to come up. So last year on a Wednesday, and this is where I'm going to end it. Last year on a Wednesday, not a Saturday or Sunday, I don't know why I didn't go on the weekend, but last year on a Wednesday, I went around and I found about 12 or 16 EVs. That was just EVs. And then I realized, I'm like, well, wait a second, I've seen hybrids starting to charge at the level 2 stations, which the very first thing that most people say is, well, if you have a hybrid, you don't need to charge it, you don't need to charge at the charger. Well, they are, because they have the ability to. So that means that you just removed those chargers from the people who can only charge at the stations. So I went around again, and I saw roughly about, I think it was 20 to 26 hybrids. And so now they're trying to get to the level 2s. And so this is going to come up really quick. And when I had conversations with some of the EV owners, they were telling me that, well, it's not that big of a deal now, because we know the council is going to address this coming forward, except we're not. And so I'm asking that we do, because very quickly we're going to get overrun. I'm assuming this year there's going to be a lot more people who are owning EVs. Every major manufacturer has an EV now. They're all going to have to convert over by 2035. So this is going to come up real quick. So if we take a progressive, methodical method to this, we can bypass a serious issue, or it's going to come down real quick and we'll be forced to convert that whole parking lot in one go, and that would be monumental in terms of the cost.
Okay, thank you. Just because the automakers are being told by 2035 they must produce EVs, that doesn't mean there's not going to be gas vehicles on the road.
Yep.
And I think we need some chargers. We do have 2 level 2s. I'd like to see us get any chargers that go in should be pay per use. I know the parking lot is integral to people in the vehicle restricted area. It's part of what makes this area unique. But it's for 2 months. So for us to electrify the whole parking lot over time for a 2-month period and then shut the power off, that's a lot of money. Granted, the BB parking lot gives us a percentage of their profit, which is not what Store the Moonlight or the bakery does, right? So we do get some funding back for that. But it's the infrastructure, right? The infrastructure and trenching in the electrical, adding transformers, which is in part of your quote, will never make our money back. It will take years to see a profit. We need more than one quote on this. We can't go ahead with just one quote for sure. We need to bring our parking lot operator, leaseholder in on this discussion. I just feel that, you know, you might remember, you might recall, I don't know, Steve, at one time there was a gas station, or gas pump, pardon me, at the parking lot, and that's gone. So people with gas-powered vehicles weren't able to get gas at the parking lot. They managed. Can EV owners manage? I'm not sure, and I think you're right, there will be more, and I think we do have to be prepared. But I'm not sure about providing 50 level one chargers for people who will sit there all weekend at obviously a prime spot. Sure, they should pay for it, they should pay to charge for that, but why are EV owners getting preferential service? Could be the comment from some people. And I think there must be some, I've heard from you, some EV charging anxiety, right? If you don't have enough juice to get here and back, that's anxiety inducing, I get that. But I would just like to see us take a little more time and come up with a plan that is affordable, and that will work for our little community. And I wonder about the payment. Does the entire RM pay for electrifying the parking lot that's used only by residents and visitors to the VRA for 2 months? I don't know, but.
Well, the RM pays for everything in the RM, and we always have, regardless as to whether or not it's in the VRA or not. I mean, I would just mention a couple of things. The first thing is that if we have no intention of electrifying the parking lot, then why would we even start with the 2 level 2s, which are not sufficient? And when you have to go up multiple times a day, just so that way you can ensure that you can get to the city and back, because people live up here, right? And there's 600 residents that are here right now. There are quite a few that are in the VRA. At some point, they are not going to be able to get to their, get back to their home. Therefore, they will not be able to charge. So now we're asking them, please continuously walk up to the parking lot so that you can unplug and plug your car back in. That is absolutely not reasonable. Yes, did I get it? Did I get an EV last year? Absolutely. Was it a colossal mistake, despite the fact that it violates every one of my morals, to drive a gasoline-powered vehicle if I can afford an EV? Honestly, at this point, I'm thinking yes, because I'm going to have to stay at home for the entire summer. I won't be able to go to Winnipeg.
But we do have 2 chargers here.
It's, Penny, I'm telling you, they're like, when you have 3 people trying to fight for 1 spot, and then you have somebody who doesn't leave, and now everybody continuously goes up every 20 minutes to see when that one person leaves.
I agree, we need more.
Yeah, but so if we need more, again, at some point in the future, yes, it's further away than, tomorrow, but very soon, all of the vehicles in that parking lot are going to be EVs. And there are going to be a lot of people who they only live up here, and they will not be able, they'll have to make a decision. Do I stay up here for the full summer, or do I have to constantly go up and back to the parking lot waiting for one of those places? I've heard a lot of people say, well, why not just get level 3s? Aside from the exorbitant cost, you can have 20 level 3s that would not supply our needs, because it takes about 30 minutes to 40 minutes to charge your car from about 20%. So with that, even if you had 20 level 3s and you have people descending on Friday and leaving all at once on Sunday, it's not enough. And so we can look at this from the benefit that we have, which is that all we need is an outlet. And it's no different, like if we take a look at that parking lot and just consider if it was built today, right? We would consider, well, should we put in wooden rows with outlets? Well, the answer is obviously no, because they're not open in the winter, but that's what all parking lots in the city do. And that's the only investment I'm looking to do.
Sorry, I'll let Erwin speak.
I certainly recognize that we will have some problems. My question then is, who is responsible for providing this infrastructure when individuals make choices to buy EV cars, knowing that there are problems for those owners who reside in the VRA in the summertime? Is it the municipality's problem, or is it the individual's problem? Secondly, I think at this particular point in time, I think we need to perhaps take a couple of steps back, perhaps engage a consultant who is knowledgeable about this whole electrification process on EV cars. We certainly can't accept, an outline from an individual contractor. We'd be breaching the Municipal Act if we did that. So I think it's a heck of a problem, and I'm sympathetic to many of the folks in the VRA who are encountering this problem. But I think we need to take some careful study before we jump into it, because we're talking about some sizable amounts of money. In essence, you talk about the municipality pays for all of the services and the infrastructure. Well, that's not true, because with respect to our water supply system, Albert Beach has its own water utility, and the VRA has its own water utility. Maybe we have to have an EV power utility, and that would be charged directly back to the VRA, because they are the sole leaders of that situation. So those are my thoughts on it.
I had a few thoughts as well. I don't wholeheartedly agree with item number 2 on Steve, on your overview. Beyond a reasonable time to get charged, I think the overtime that clicks in automatically has to somehow recover the infrastructure costs. You've said 2%, you've said no profit. It's not profit. We just try to recover the infrastructure. I would say on a 5-year, 3 to 5 year timeline, we have to recover these infrastructure costs and what they pay at the meter for staying there longer than they should have. That's where the money comes from. Secondly, I agree with Penny. We need a few more quotes. I don't want to backtrack, but I think that we should be looking for quotes right here, right now, to automate the 2 that we have in the parking lot already, and to provide 3 more across the street at those pads. That's what we should be looking for quotes on.
On the one across the street where the recycling
Yeah.
spot used to be, Steve raised a really good point in a conversation that we had, and I agree. We moved those recycling bins because they were a safety issue, with vehicles coming and going and people coming in and out of the restricted area. I think to add chargers over there, well, on the one hand, it might make some sense. It's just gonna add to that infrastructure safety issue, vehicle safety issue
Well,
there.
are you suggesting that all chargers have to go in the parking lot? We've had some pretty productive discussions that have suggested, unless I'm mistaken, that charging and parking should be separate.
Well, if we have a pay as you go, pay per use, they pay separately to get a charge, but they would still have to pay for parking, right? And the pay per use would go to the RM.
Mm.
Whereas, yeah,
They
might be separate.
I don't see the amount of traffic that goes on with that information office. Tradespeople coming in and out, backing utility vehicles at the parking lot. I would suggest that somebody pulling into or pulling out of one of those pads is bugger all to be concerned about. There's already tons of traffic there.
The traffic flow would be considerably less than the flow that we had before the recycling. But, the safety issues is why we moved it. So I think we have to be careful on that. That's not Grammy make a good point, but there's also some issues on the other side. Again, I'll just reiterate, I think we need an external independent consultant to provide us with some independent guidance on the problem.
Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
So as for consultant, I can tell you right now what they're gonna tell you. They're gonna say that you need a bunch of, like, you're gonna need all level twos. That's just simply not true. Because a consultant is thinking, well, if I'm in a city, that's what I would need, so that way I could charge up by the time I'm done work. We do not need that at all, full stop. What we need is trickle charges. A consultant will tell you that, because A, consultants try to make money, and B, they're not thinking, they don't understand the lifestyle out here. They don't understand that in 48 hours, if you trickle charge, you can have your vehicle charged and you can leave. They're thinking as fast as humanly possible, but they know that you're not going to get level threes because it's not reasonable. So that's what they're going to recommend. They're going to recommend all level twos, and you've had those conversations. The reality in terms of possibly putting them over where the old garbage stations are is, again, put them there now if you want. I would hazard to guess there'll be at least twice as many EVs this year in that parking lot. And last year on a Wednesday, I counted at least 12 to 16. So they're fighting over 2 chargers, and now we're going to put in 3. Great. So we would have, what, a total of 5, or are we just saying 3 total? Even if it's 3 total, or even if it's 5 total, you're still looking at 12 vehicles, just simply 12 to 16 vehicles as last year, fighting over 5 spots. So let's say that we've doubled that. So now we're up to 20, we're up to say 25, 30 cars. Now they're all going to be fighting over those. This is going to be so quick. Every day that I'm driving on the highway, I'm seeing a brand new EV I've never seen before. And I drive that highway every single day. I don't know how many cars I see, but I'm seeing so many new, even from the beginning of this winter, the number of EVs that I've seen on the highway is insane. So this is going to come really fast, really hard, and people are going to be furious when they get up here and they realize that the infrastructure is not ready, and they're all fighting over just a few spots of level twos.
Where's the closest charger around here? Commercial charger?
The commercial charger, there isn't one.
Selkirk. I think Selkirk is going to get.
Yeah.
Just curious. I don't know.
But Steve, much of this is, and we appreciate your sharing your observations with us, but much of this is anecdotal evidence. I think we need to define the demand. How many people are?
I did in the overhead picture of the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's not an active provider. I know that we want to say just like, and this was the funniest thing, and I honestly think back, this was the funniest thing I'd ever heard somebody, a car salesman say. They told me about 6 years ago. I was over at my former automaker, I'm not going to name them. And the person said, I kept asking year over year, when are you going to get your EV? When are you going to get your EV? He said the exact same thing that everybody's been telling me for years. Oh, it's a fad. Well, 6 years ago, it was $1 billion industry. And now the major manufacturers are involved because they realize that, oh, wait, it's not a fad. So Ford is selling their new Mustang, which is a high demand vehicle.
Nice car.
Yeah, as an EV, yeah, it's Ford. But you have Ford in the game, you have GM in the game, you have Chrysler in the game, you have Honda in the game, Toyota. Every single manufacturer now is making EVs. They all realize that they don't have a choice. And so this is going to hit, as I said, really hard, really fast. And so we can say that, oh, this isn't going to happen for a long period of time, but the fact is it's happening right now. And we're going to hear about it. So I understand, like maybe take a look at a few different quotes, maybe thinking about like how to finance it properly. I think everything can be done on the municipal website, so the parking lot doesn't have to touch any of that money, so that way everything can be separate. But we need to hit this as quickly as possible because it is going to come screaming back in our faces if we don't act now.
Wow.
I know there are a lot of grants that you can apply for this kind of thing. They're well funded for this in developing infrastructure. I think that's probably the major concern is having taxpayers pay for this. I think if you can get grants to cover most of the costs, it becomes less of an issue.
It's still taxpayers' money for the grants. I mean.
Oh, well, it spreads it out of our EV though. That's.
I know when I looked into the grants in the past, you had to have them you had to have a charging station in operation for 12 months, and it had to be in a public place. Well, the parking, no, maybe that's changed. parking lot is public, but.
It's
Yeah.
available all year, it's just cold and really.
Yeah, but, so would we leave, there's lots of questions. Would we choose to leave the power on so that people could charge and still pay? Would there be enough demand for that in the off season? I don't know.
I don't think there's any reason to leave it on in the off season. I mean, again, the
But
reason
that's
why.
part of the grant stipulation.
Oh,
If
yeah.
that's part of the grant stipulation, you're not gonna get the grant.
Yeah, first of all, I would say if we want to try to get any grant, I don't see that happening because they're for level 2s and level 3s, mostly level 3s, because they were trying to electrify the number 1. They are starting to expand out now. Again, we're in a really unique position, given that we don't allow people back to their cabins. But again, that is the part that scares me the most because while, some people have dismissed this comment, there are some others who, sort of realize that if you take a look at mobility rights in the charter, we violate them.
We're not violating your ability to get to your cottage.
Well, if you can't get here and back home,
Drive.
yeah, but if you can't get here and back home, and I would argue that if the taxi service had never been established, then that could have been a charter challenge when the charter was established. Because you cannot prevent people in this country from moving around. But we did have the taxi service, so you're right, we didn't. Except that this is gonna come into it in that I can't get home unless I fight for hours to try to get my car, get my car charged. And I have to keep going up and up and up, and maybe this time.
So when you
That's
go to the
the
city then,
people's rights.
Steve, who do you rely on to provide you with charging?
I don't, I come home.
But you do charge at your
At
office, you do charge at school though sometimes, you said.
Oh, yeah, but it's negligible. I do it
Right,
because
and that's a level 1 charger.
that's a level 1 charger. Yeah, and they have 12 amps and that gets me 50 or 60 kilometers just while I'm sitting there at work. But my division's awesome. So other divisions, not so much. But the point is that, yeah, I mean, right now I have the ability to drive into the city, come back, but I charge at home. But that's only because I paid more for my car than other people can afford.
Just a comment, for the record, other than Steve Axworthy, do any of our other councillors own EV cars?
No.
The answer is no. So, Steve, we recognize your concern, but a lot of your enthusiasm is because you have a particular personal problem. And I think, while I certainly respect your enthusiasm, but your enthusiasm is somewhat tainted because you have a particular need to drive your car from here to your work every day. So we have to be careful on that one.
But I think Steve is looking at the big picture as well, and I think.
I certainly agree with that, but it is, you're somewhat jaundiced in your position.
I think there's no question we need to have more charging opportunities up here, but I don't know how you quantify the need. Yes, there's many vehicles in the parking lot that are EVs. They don't all need to be charged. Some of them are rarely at the charging stations, but they're a different brand of vehicle, right? They might have a longer range or have different options before they leave the city to come up here. But I think we need more information. We need another quote or two on what you've described here. We need to know if level 1 is really, 30 or 40 level 1s are really the way to go. Who pays, how we pay, how users pay.
A lot of unanswered questions. Very good questions, but unanswered.
But I don't want this to fall off the table because it is going to become an issue. I did talk to the parking lot lease operator today, and they suggested that level 2s that would allow for 2 vehicles to charge at the same time on one would be helpful, and pay as you go for sure. Because without pay as you go, it's just too easy to sit there. And, there's no consequence, there's no cost.
Well, it has to be a graduated scale so that
So,
you are penalized, perhaps severely penalized You stay in there longer than you need to. That's how we recoup the capital expenditures. There's no other way.
And I don't recall what we put in the budget, if we have a budget line for this. We do not?
It's not a budget line, I've been asking for this, but there is enough money in the budget to fund it. And I definitely understand, Erwin, where you're coming from, saying that I have an EV, so like, I do have a vested interest in this, yes, I'm not gonna deny that. But I saw the issues last year, and, you know, I had, as somebody who has to go in, like, I'm not living anywhere else, right? I'm living at my cabin, so right now I'm a permanent resident. So I'm feeling this. I know that other people who are permanent residents and will get EVs will feel this. But I also experienced how lacking in infrastructure we were last year. And in talking to the other EV owners, they were so polite over it, just being like, yeah, well, you know, we're just gonna handle this because everybody's gonna have to make the conversion. So we know council's on top of it, and it's, no, we're not even remotely close. And again, yes, we're talking about putting in 3 more level 2s. That's great. It's not even going to be close to enough. When you have to wake up 3 times in a night, just so you know that you can go to the city and come back home, because I can't reach my home so that I can charge up in the infrastructure that I've set up for myself, then that is a problem, and that is a municipal issue. And just taking myself out of it, and just thinking about the residents, they are going to have serious issues. And again, if you want a numbers count, just look at the satellite image of the parking lot. There's an amount of cars that are going to require charging in the very near future.
One hell of a question.
All right, let's somehow get some more information on this and some more electrical information, quotes, on a more manageable scale. I'm not sure that we need to spend $47,000 right now on EV chargers.
Just to be clear, the 47 was because the GB wanted to put in a transformer, so that way it would be, again, thinking proactively, because otherwise you're going to have to put in more and more infrastructure, which will cost way more in the short term and long term than it would be just to take a one-time hit. And so that way you can electrify however many rows it was that I had on there, which I think was 6 or 7.
Right.
Might it be appropriate for our CAO to review the situation and engage some other alternatives from other contractors, or perhaps look at a consultant and then report back to council? You know, Steve, I'm sympathetic to your situation, because I think, you know, we're going to have a serious problem, but we need to develop a bit of an unbiased plan to go forward with.
Okay, thank you, Steve. All right, moving on to correspondence information and announcements. We mentioned earlier summer employment opportunities, perhaps at the info office, perhaps at the golf course. We never know what the season's going to bring, so please send email applications into these info at victoriabeach.ca website, or email, pardon me. No, so info at, victoriabeach.ca. Okay, sorry. 2024 spring brush pickup schedule. In the vehicle restricted area, June 20th, the gates will close, or the restriction comes into effect for the VRA. So starting mail on weekend until June 16th. Please pile brush at the end of your driveway and Public Works will pick it up. Outside the VRA, starting the mail on weekend until June 22nd. Please pile brush at the end of your driveway and Public Works will pick it up. If you can and are able, please help PB Public Works staff by trailering your brush and dropping it off at the fire hall. Your help is greatly appreciated.
I should clarify that, though, it's not at the fire hall anymore.
That's right,
It's
sorry.
west of the transfer site.
I meant to
So there'll be
change
new
that.
signs put up there, but we cleared that area west of the transfer site.
Yep.
People already know about it, I see vehicles going in there already, dropping off their brush, so.
Right, I forgot. Thank you so much.
People are coming up here now, and they're already starting to take out their brush. There are multiple really large piles, because I guess there's a storm or something. I've seen about 2 or 3 that are starting to stack up. So I'm wondering if we might want to hold that a little bit closer to now. Because I mean, the more people that come out, that gives them more and more time to remove their underbrush. And I understand that, well, some people will say that's a fire hazard. Well, A, it's away from your property, or it's away from your house, and then it's also giving them that time to remove it.
But we haven't finished doing the roads yet. There's still some snow on the boulevards, like on the road allowances.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Public Works will like me saying this, but I guess if they do pile it up now, maybe give Public Works a call to let them know that it's there.
Mhm.
If
Well,
they do have some time, maybe go check it out.
it's not supposed to be there yet.
Yeah, but if you come down and, if you come
How
down
do
and
we
you've got some
discourage
dead
it?
trees that have fallen, you want to move them. But I have
Sorry,
seen
Public
some,
Works.
actually, I noticed some today on Patricia. Okay, so,
Yep.
all right, the 2023 annual water report is on our website for residents to review if they're interested. And some very exciting news from the Association of Manitoba Municipalities Conference and from our fire chief through information that he'd received is the thoughtful updates to the first responder problem in our community and elsewhere in the province. The medical first responders are hoping to be, let me back up. I'll read a notice from the Office of the Fire Commissioner. Medical first responders, Department of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care proposed changes to the medical first response model in Manitoba. The proposed amendments seek to permit communities to operate community-based first response programs. So if some of you know our first responders during COVID and because of some regulatory changes, basically were stopped, they stood down. And so now it looks like the whole healthcare system has come full circle and they realize that some of the regulations didn't work for volunteer firefighters and volunteer first responders. So it's a bit of a process, it's not approved yet, but there is an Engage Manitoba survey out there asking for responses to the updated regulations.
This is the best news I've received in a long time. Over the
Yes.
last 3.5 years, I made several presentations to the minister. Many other municipal officers around the province made similar kinds of requests to do something about reinstating the medical first responders in the rural communities. The only areas that are currently being served adequately by medical first responders are the large Winnipeg, Brandon, Portage la Prairie, the large cities in the province. Victoria Beach, our medical first responders stood down. So just wonderful news, and I think we can be thankful for the Association of Manitoba Municipalities who actively lobbied on our behalf. Many individual councillors around the province lobbied, and it looks like the government is finally starting to listen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Will we be responding to this announcement as they've asked us to?
I think any one of us and all of us should be responding to this.
Individually,
Yes.
All
More
right.
merrier.
Is it possible to put this on the website so that
Yeah.
individuals could link?
Let's
to
get this on the website and
URL?
Yep, sure.
invite all of our residents to provide input.
There's a link for that, but I'll get that up there too.
Excellent.
And it's important for places like the social scene and the resource center and the community clubs and the community associations to participate in this survey. I can leave it for you.
Yep.
Okay. There was also some upgrades, they were talking about upgrading the 911 service in Manitoba, which for us comes out of the city of Brandon.
Didn't we just do that?
Yeah, they seem to do it fairly regularly, and this is yet another
So
upgrade.
now we need new radios again.
No, we don't need new radios. We don't need new radios. but there's-
Oh,
But it-
that was a joke. It's last time.
It's astonishing, though, that most of northern Manitoba does not even have 911 service. So if they phone 911, they don't go to Brandon, they go to some independent party in BC or Ontario, and they just get switched to an RCMP attachment. And as we know, the RCMP are understaffed. So we're very fortunate that we have 911 and any upgrades to the system through Brandon will be appreciated. Anything else, gentlemen, under information or announcements? One more thing then from me, the 2024 tax bylaw and financial plan is on our website under local notices. Received first reading March 19th, and Lon mentioned earlier that the public hearing for the financial plan is scheduled for May 7th at our council meeting in the city. And residents are welcome to attend or let us know by email if they have any concerns or questions about the financial plan, which will be the basis for your taxes for 2024. All right, anything further? All right, be it resolved, the April 16th, 2024 regular council meeting be adjourned. Next meeting will be on Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, 6 p.m. in Winnipeg, 2035 Portage Avenue. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Irwin, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. And thank you, everyone.